Let's have a farewell to Spirals, you guys. Everyone's pretty positive that this deck is done for. They're dead. Just because the ban list is coming out this month, and we all know for certain it's 100% fact that this is the deck. If no other deck is gonna get hit, this is the deck that's gonna get hit. And I think they're gonna hit it to the point where it can't be played anymore. All they have to really do is hit either Sleeper or Double Helix, and they're done for. Really, if they hit Sleeper, that's fine. The deck is just never going to be what it used to be. So I had to modify my deck and make changes for this upcoming format. It's coming soon. We don't know the exact date of the ban list, but we do know for sure, guaranteed, that it is this month in January. And you know what's coming out next month? Extreme Force, the Heavy Ametaphors Electrum Link Monster. It is coming out in February, the month after Spirals are getting the hammers. So we already know the transition from Spiral format to Pendulum Magician format is real. I've been preparing myself mentally and also preparing my deck to combat that deck. So we've basically taken out everything that was meant for combating Spirals and put in cards to combat Trickstars and Pendulum Magicians, which are going to be the best decks. The two guaranteed best decks that we know confirmed, minus, you know, whatever new support is coming out in Extreme Force, Jack Knights, etc., Troy Mares, all these new cards that we don't know what kind of an impact, but we do know for certain Trickstar, Pendulum Magician are not only getting new support, but they're going to remain in the tier 1 meta that they are. So we're going to go ahead and show you exactly how I'm running my deck to counter these decks that we are going to be expecting to see. It's still my my true Draco Invoked deck. It's just a little bit more teched out, and we've also modified the main deck and cut a few things and then incorporated them into the side deck. Starting with monsters, we have 2 copies of Masterpiece. He's still a very, very powerful boss monster. I feel like he's not going to be as powerful moving forward into the meta because Pendulum Magicians are actually able to play around this card, not only to bait him out, but they can just use Purple Poison to pop the field spell. They can make Utopia the lightning. You know, they have ways to play around this card. But I still feel like he's a very, very powerful card that people have to, no matter what, play around. He drains your resources. He doesn't care about anything. Masterpiece is amazing. In the Trickstar matchup, if they can't make Borlo before popping the field spell, they just really can't do anything whatsoever. Masterpiece is still a pain, and he just rapes rogue decks. He's very, very powerful. We have 1 copy of Mariamne, the True Draco Phoenix, to make your Masterpiece with ease, and also to make True King of all calamities, and be the better target for your diagram shenanigans. And then for the actual best card in my deck, we have 3 copies of Alistair, aka Mr. Crowley. This dude is a freaking beast, man. I love this card with a passion. This is the reason why my deck is going to be competitive no matter what, because I'm going to have some way to make a play no matter what because of Alistair, the 1-card combo. No matter how many hand traps I draw in my hand, it doesn't matter as long as Alistair's there. The consistency is there every single turn, getting him back, making a fusion for the different problems, for the different situations. The Book of Moon is useful, Mechaba's always useful, Purgatrio is useful. Kaliga's going to be insane this coming up format. Alistair is just way too powerful. He's one of the reasons why this deck is so good. And honestly, like I said, he's the best card in my freaking deck. Alistair is just way too good. 1 copy of Blue Boy to incorporate for the Spellbook engine, just to maximize on your value. When you open up with secrets but no other spellcaster, you just secrets for your Blue Boy and you can still do your shenanigans. So that's pretty much going to be the normal summons of the deck. And then the rest is just hand traps. We have the obligatory 3 Gamma, the best hand trap in the game in my opinion. Gamma and Ash go back and forth against each other, but I still feel like Gamma is just so much better. It not only negates, but it destroys, and it makes Omega, which rates people's hand. Then we have 3 Ash. Ash and Gamma, really, they are the best. If you're going to play hand traps, these are the only ones you should play if you have room for 6. And right behind Ash, we have 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I'm still playing Ogre because Ogre is going to out a lot of problems. Heavy Metaphors Electrum. If the monster is Link Summon, he does place an extra monster, a Pendulum monster in your extra monster zone. That effect can be Ogred, which is pretty powerful because if you ogre the Electrum, they pretty much have to either A, try to make another Electrum and then resolve his effect, wasting resources, or B, they have to proceed with the rest of their combo without all the benefits of Electrum destroying and adding and drawing, which is going to be very, very powerful. So Ogre is more or less the equivalent of opening up with Ash or Gamma in the Magician matchup when you're trying to deal with the Electrum. And also destroying him takes away the extra monster zones that he had the left and right diagonal. So Ogre is going to be phenomenal in this upcoming format. It's very, very lackluster and whack against Trickstars, but against Pendulum Magicians, it's pretty darn powerful. If it hits the graphs, if it hits Wisdom Eye, it's still a very, very powerful hand trap. Ghost Ogre is amazing. Some people sleep on the effect that actually you send it from field to grave. And that might be more relevant with Trickstar Needle Fiber coming out. I'm pretty sure it is coming out. You can just summon this monster with relative ease. It's just a very, very powerful hand trap. And, you know, the Ghost Sisters are tuners. And, of course, to sum up the hand traps, we are playing the obligatory Maxi. If you don't play the Ulti Maxi, you'll never draw it. Same thing with the Ulti Ogres, Ulti Blue Boys. Everything got to be foreign. I'm a rarity hoe. And then one copy of Driver to sum up the monster count. Driver is obligatory with the Gamma package. You have to play the one brick, but for the most part, it works out, and it's always worth it. And because we're playing Invoked, sometimes Driver serves its purpose for being just fusion fodder. And then we're going to continue on with the spells. 3 copies of Dragonic Diagram, the best bait to force your Gamma through. It also, you know, it has some other shenanigans, some combos, where when you're playing going second to pop the Draco spells or traps to break boards while you continue with your push. So Diagram's just still such a powerful field spell in my opinion. Of course, it just gives you right to your Masterpiece. It provides the protection for Masterpiece. And so long as you can protect it, you continue just jittering advantage off of this amazing field spell. Then we have 2 copies of Magical Meltdown, aka the Hot Sauce. It's just to get you to your Alistair quicker, more consistently. Mr. Crowley is a very, very important monster. Like I said, he's the best card in my deck. If I don't have Alistair, I'm really not winning. There are more than like 90% of the time, if I have the option to go for 1 field spell, I'm just going to choose this for the 1 because I'm going to get longevity out of Alistair. Whereas the Diagram is susceptible not only to Ogre, but if I can't make Masterpiece the same turn that I get the Diagram, then it's really just I'm playing a turn behind. So if I open up with like a Gamma, an Ash, a Strike, and like, you know, Evenly Match, for example, and a Terraforming, then I'm just going to use the Terraforming into Magical Meltdown because I see more value in that. So the field spell is just amazing. And of course, it's better when you just hard draw into it. 3 copies of the Ultimate Rare Optimus Primes just to get you to your field spells. You are playing 5 targets for the 3 Terraformings. And we also play Set Rotation to act as our 7th copy of Diagram or our 6th copy of Magical Meltdown, just to make it more consistent. And even though field spells aren't going to be as relevant in a Pendulum Magician matchup and the Trickstar matchup, it's very important to lock them out of their field spell in the turn that they, for example, you set this as a trap. The turn that they activate their light stage, you can chain this to its activation. This will set a field spell over theirs. Theirs will not resolve, and they won't be able to activate a new field spell over it because mine's going to be set down. Theirs is going to be set down. Sure, they can activate the one I gave them, but mine is still face down, so they can't play anything over it. So it's still a good card, and of course, it's an auto counter to Evenly Matched, even though it's only at 1. Then we have 2 copies of Secrets. Ulti Germans, you got to, or you're never going to draw. 2 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge. It complements the deck very, very well. And we have the Draco spells, 1 Disciple, and 1 Heritage, just to get the draw effects, the effect to pop back rows, the effect to shuffle, the effect to just, you know, additional tribute. They're all very, very useful, but by themselves, they don't really do much, and I want this deck to be really, really consistent. And it's versatile where it can go first or second and still do its job. I just really don't want to draw situational bricky cards, so I'd much rather just see these when I need them. And for the most part, whenever I see them, it's a perfect time, but I feel like if I see 2 of these, it's horrible, so I'm just playing 1 of each. And then 1 Darko and 1 Raigeki, because when you lose the dice roll and you have to go second, you really, really need to be able to push through their board and then normal summon the Alistair, you know, go for a fusion, and then keep the hand traps and the strikes to gain control of the game, gain control of the duel. And if you happen to be able to summon Masterpiece, you can just use the spell to tribute over the Alistair for Masterpiece, then fuse and push for a lot of damage and just set a strike, keep a hand trap in hand. 1 copy of Invocation because 1 is all I really need. The way Omega works is you either put it back into your from your graveyard into your main deck if it gets debarriered, because debarrier might be a thing, or if it gets Cyclone when they banish it, chaining to its activation, they banish it, it still resolves. Omega will put it from the banish zone back to the graveyard, and then it can recycle itself. So Omega fixes all the problems where the counter arguments would arise, saying, oh, 1 invocation, what happens if this, that, or the other, and you can't. Omega always fixes that problem. This is why Gamma is so mandatory for my deck. And that's pretty much going to sum it up for the spells. There's no bad spells. I think the only spells that can be situational when you draw them are Invocation, True Draco Heritage, and Disciples. But there are times when you draw them and they're amazing. So all the spells are really, really dope. And then for traps, we're playing 3 copies of Evenly Matched. This is going to be the blowout for the Pendulum Magician matchup. Because they're going to have to, no choice but to commit so many resources from hand to field. And if you can just hand trap that, what's his name, the Electrum, their board's not going to be as powerful as it could have been. So if you hand trap the Electrum and evenly match them after that, it's really, really hard for them to come back, especially when they're trying to push through an Invoked Fusion like Mechaba or Raijin, in addition to hand traps and the Solemn Strikes if you have it. And I'm playing 3 Solemn Strikes because if I go first, I want to have good cards. And this is a very, very powerful card for going first. More or less in the Pendulum Magician and the Trickstar matchup, this is a very one-sided card. Sure, they can get Black Fang to play around the strike, but nobody really sees strike coming, especially because it's just not as popular as it has been in the past. So most Pendulum Magician players don't play around strike. You just take their Pendulum Summon away from them. If you Ogre the Electrum and then strike the Pendulum Summon, they are absolutely done. They have no field presence whatsoever. You've seized control of the duel, so strike is amazing. And it's still good to hit the Kandina, because that's the one normal summon for Trickstars. The Draco traps, we're just playing 1 Apocalypse and 1 a turn. Masterpiece doesn't really have too many targets to banish to destroy. We're not really trying to focus too heavy on that. Relatively, you need 1 or 2 good pops. The 1 pop from tributing the Speller Trap, and the 1 pop from Masterpiece's actual effect to just pick the board apart and attack for game. And that's how it works more or less. And I also side deck some more continuouses for Masterpiece Food. But that's pretty much going to conclude the main deck. Now moving forward to the extra deck, we're playing True King of All Chlamydia, Baby Syphilis, Double Omega because of the Gamma. And you also, not only are you able to resolve multiple Gammas in the same turn, but you also have the Epsilon for the Trickstar matchup. When you Epsilon them, when they try to standby reincarnation you, make this Omega, clear it away. And then Gamma, their next hand trap that they try to use on you to stop your diagram to force it through, and then make the second Omega. That's how I play too. It's came up a lot. And normally when I make the second Omega and use it, they just scoop after that. I don't even have to make Mechaba or anything. And speaking of Mechaba, we call this card Medieval Mikey, nicknamed after one of my subscribers. He's freaking amazing, dude. He's Providence that negates and banishes. This is also really relevant in the Pendulum Magician matchup because cards like Double Iris, Purple Poison, Black Fang are not hard once per turn, so when they're destroyed, their effects activate as monster effects. Keep that in mind. If somebody plays them in a scale, it's played as a spell, but if Purple Poison gets destroyed, Black Fang or Double Iris gets destroyed, it triggers as a monster effect. And because Mechaba negates and banishes it, you completely eradicate the problem where, oh, it gets destroyed again and you can trigger. Like when you Solemn Strike them, they'll go for the extra deck to the grave, but their effect will still resolve. That's why Mechaba's so good, because he completely gets rid of the card. He'll negate and banish the Purple Poison, even if it's in damage step, he's in negate. The Double Iris, you know, the Black Fang, just banish it and get rid of its effect. It's amazing. So Mechaba is just really, really powerful in that matchup. Then we have Double Raijin. Raijin's really, really, really good. He's an underrated card. I feel like he's very powerful in the Trickstar matchup as well. He's just really good. I like playing 2 of them. And this is going to be coming up more. Now we're playing 2 copies of Invoked Kaliga. Because the Pendulum Magician matchup, like I told you, I'm preparing for the new format. This whole deck profile is based on commenting the new format. Forget Spirals. They're out of the picture. They're done. I'm ready for them to go, and I'm ready to, you know, move forward to greener pastures. And now we're looking like just, you know, Pendulum Magician meta. So Kaliga's going to come up a lot because if they're not making Omega, they're making XYZs. When they detach, they put Dark Monsters in the graveyard. Those are targets for Black Fang. So you're getting rid of the Black Fang targets, and you're making the bane of their existence. Pendulum Magicians need more than 1 monster effect for their combos to work. So if they normal the Joker, that's it. If they go for Harmonizing Magician, that's it. They can't use Omega. They can't go for Electrum. In order for them to go for Electrum, they'd have to normal Joker, not use the effect, and then like somehow, you know, get like another extender on the field. Long story short, the monster, they can't really get over it with any monster effect. They really have to back it up with something else. And it slows them down. They have to play around it. And if they don't, you just overlay this in Alistair, make Baguska, and really shut them down at that point. So Invoked Kaliga is just so powerful. There's a lot of decks that just auto-lose to this card. Even Lightsworns, believe it or not, BAs. Because you can only activate 1 monster effect, and that's hand traps included. And you can only attack with 1. He's more or less, you back him up with a Strike or an Ash Blossom, he's a skill drain. Like, he's really, really powerful. Then 1 Mechalangia. This card is really, really amazing. I was playing him we're still in Spiral format, but I'm just speaking as if it's over. I was playing him to be able to banish the double Helix and the Super Agent, and sometimes the Quick Fix, and just bring out the beater, because Borreload is really difficult for my deck to get over without wasting an Alistair. So I wouldn't mind like making this card and then trying to push into the Borreload. If he does the damage stab gain, you know, make it lose 500, they're stupid because they know you have Alistair, so you could just Alistair, force it through. The deck is infamous for having multiple Alistairs, so this goes, you know, it stays, it kills the Borreload, and then if they kill this next turn, you just make something else. So it also helps just the OTK. Speaking of OTKs, we're playing Purgatrio. Purgatrio is just insane for the in-phase scapegoat for the stupid Trickstar players. And it's also really, really powerful against Pendulum Magicians because they commit so many cards to the field. So you summon this monster huge. He's going to be huge every time you bring him. And then Cocytus, a lot of decks struggle with getting over him. He's just more or less when your hand's kind of bad, you just need to stall it out with a monster like him or Kaliga, depending on which one you can make. Then the Artifact Durandal, because we are actually side decking the Artifact engine. So we're going to go ahead and move forward to the side deck now. Side deck's pretty simple. We're now siding the Artifact Sanctums. Once again, I was siding these in the past. We're back to siding them because I think this is going to be a really, really good card in the Pendulum Magician matchup specifically. Yes, they can Pendulum Summon from the hand. We all know that. But if they Pendulum Summon from the hand while they're under Scythe, they have to leave it there. And the cool thing is when you're playing spicy techs like Polymerization, you can just fuse their Dark Monsters and summon Greedy Venom, the fusion monster that requires 2 Dark Monsters on the field. It's another spicy tech I'm thinking about doing for when I get the Sanctum lockdown. But yeah, it's a lot of ways you can do it. But you just want to lock them off in the extra deck. So no Electrum, no Omega, no Baguska. Just Pendulum Summon from hand, pass. And if I strike it, it's over. So Sanctum and Strike is an it's like an automatic win in that matchup. 3 anti-spell because they can literally play no scales whatsoever. These also can be hard counters to the Trickstar matchup, just slowing them down. Sanctum doesn't really slow them down much, but you can flip it to bring out Lancia if you're playing Lancia, so that they cannot use Reincarnation on you. Speaking of Trickstars, we're playing 3 Epsilons, the hard counter, the standby Reincarnations. And also, believe it or not, this hits floodgates like Anti-Spell, Skill Drain, Mistake, stuff like that, that other rogue decks like Burning Abyss and possibly the, what are they called? The Paleozoics are going to be playing. So you never know. It's going to be really, really powerful for a lot of decks. Then I'm also side decking 3 Joel and Lockbirds because this card just is not having much of an impact as I'm starting to see in the upcoming format. Yes, it's good, but it doesn't solve the problem. It basically puts it to where you get 1 extra turn to try to deal with the problem, but the problem's still there. So I'm going to be side decking this for those matchups where the deck is just searching too much. So this could be if I win game 1 and then I have to go second against Pendulum Magicians, I'll side this in because I'm going to sideboarding, you know, stuff to shut them down. So hitting them for a turn will help because I might be able to OTK them. But nonetheless, I just didn't see enough value in main decking it just for this format. This was really, really good against Spirals because they would just terraforming or, you know, normal summon quick fix, stuff like that, and their turn would be done. And you have to stop double hits from resolving. But with Pendulum Magicians, they can still play through a Joel and Lockbird. They can still open up relatively with everything they need. And after you draw them, that might be the search that they already needed. They've got everything they need. So Joel isn't going to be as good, but it's still a good card. I just decided to start siding it. Then the 2 Scythe, I don't really need Lancia because evenly matched does not kill my deck. I normally just commit like 1 boss monster or 2. And then Torrential Tribute just to have better cards for side decking for going first. So you have your Sanctums, your Scythes, your Torrential, and your anti-spells for going first. And you're going to side deck these cards for going second. But the deck is already built for going second. The only thing that could be making it better is cards that I've taken out. Which Cherries and Helix, I think we can just kiss that goodbye. You can play Cherries for the Electrum, but I feel like even though you take the Electrum away from a Pendulum Magician player, they just go back to how Pendulum Magicians actually were, and it doesn't hurt them at all. So I look at it like a -1. So Cherries just, I don't see any value in it. And this is just for, you know, the old Spiral format that we're coming out of. Kaijus is something that we could tech, you know, just to have better going second cards, but I don't see Kaijus having any value in the Pendulum Magician or the Trickstar matchup. Trickstars, they're just going to summon it back off Reincarnation. Pendulum Magicians, the worst thing that they can summon is Baguska, and my deck can actually play through that with Masterpiece, so I just don't really see value in the Kaiju package at the moment. We never know. Konami may still be releasing something really, really insane that we're going to need Kaijus for. Warning is another good going first card. This could have made it for the Pendulum Magician matchup, but they always make Baguska, and this does nothing with Baguska on field, so it's just not going to be that good. Moral Attack was an option. You know, just some other stuff that didn't really make the cut, but I'm still thinking about it. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for watching this deck profile. Stay tuned for future content. I appreciate you for supporting my channel and my team and my dream, man. And if you want more updates on decks like these and other decks, just let me know. Stay tuned for that. I work really, really hard for you guys, believe it or not, and I'm going to continue to do so. But I'm going to go to sleep. It's really, really late. Peace out, y'all.